Two men start working on the same day, same company, same position, same starting salary. They sit a few desks apart, laugh at the same office jokes, complain about the same deadlines.
Told you.
Every
Glad I
2
brought
weeks,
them.
their
You're a
phones
lifesaver.
buzz at the same time.
Totally. This is
Salary
great.
credited. 10 years later, one of them checks his bank account before buying groceries. The other checks investment dashboards he barely thinks about anymore. One is tired. The other is free. Nothing about their jobs changed. So what did? This isn't about how much you earn. It's about how your paycheck controls you. I'm going to show you the rules that quietly turn income into a trap and why most people stay stuck in it for decades without realizing it. Not because they're lazy, not because they're bad with money, but because they're following a system designed to keep them dependent on the next paycheck. Rule 1. Your paycheck trains you to reset to zero. Every time money comes in, it feels like progress, but most people treat income as permission to spend, not a resource to allocate. So the cycle looks like this. You earn, you pay bills, you spend what's left, and you wait. Then you repeat. A person earning $1,000 spends $950 and saves $50. A year later, they earn $1,500, but now they spend $1,450. Same behavior, different numbers, same result. Back to zero. But here's what most people miss. The habit matters more than the amount. If your system resets you to zero every month, a higher salary doesn't fix the problem, it just scales it. The hidden cost isn't just money, it's time. Because every reset means you need another paycheck to survive. And psychologically, that creates dependency. You stop thinking in terms of ownership, you start thinking in terms of survival. Rule 2. Stability is often controlled dependency. Stable jobs feel safe, predictable income, regular hours, clear expectations. But stability can quietly become a cage. If your entire life depends on one source of income,
the transfer's complete.
you're not stable,
Great, thanks.
you're
Let's see.
exposed.
Wow,
Imagine
the screen
two
is so
people
clear.
earning the same
This feels
$2,000 a
great.
month.
I'm all set. You're
One
welcome.
relies
Enjoy.
entirely on their job. The other has $1,000 from work and $1,000 from assets or side income. If something happens to the job, one loses everything. The other adjusts. Same income, different risk. It gets worse. Most people increase their fixed expenses as their income
This
grows.
one looks nice.
Better apartment, better car,
There, neatly
more
folded.
subscriptions. So now
Perfect fit
losing
for the
the
bag.
job doesn't just hurt, it collapses the system. The paycheck didn't create security, it created a structure that requires it. And the more stable your life looks, the harder it is to step away. Rule 3. Raises don't make you rich, they make you comfortable. Getting a raise feels like winning, and in a way it is.
Wow, these
but
deals are
most raises
flying.
don't change
Got
your
the watch.
trajectory.
Next.
They change your
Headphones, too.
lifestyle.
This is amazing.
You go from commuting to
Almost
upgrading
got
your
them
ride,
all.
from cooking at home to eating out more often, from basic subscriptions to premium everything. Individually, each change feels small, but together they lock in a higher cost of living. So now your new baseline isn't your old salary, it's your new expenses. I'm not done yet. Let's say you get a 20% raise. If your expenses increase by 20% too, your financial position doesn't improve, you just upgraded your obligations. And psychologically, comfort is addictive. Once you get used to a certain standard, going backward feels like failure. So you keep chasing income to maintain comfort instead of building freedom. Rule 4. Time for money is a capped game. Your paycheck is tied to your time. You show up, you work, you get paid. But there's a limit to how much time you can trade. Even if you double your hourly rate, you're still constrained by hours in a day. Now compare that to someone who builds something once and gets paid repeatedly. A rental property, a digital product, a small business system. At first, it looks slower, more effort up front, less immediate reward. But over time, it decouples income from time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you rely only on active income, you must keep working to keep earning. There's no pause button, no real leverage. And that means your future depends on your ability to keep trading time. That's not freedom, that's maintenance.
Rule number 5. The paycheck hides the real cost of your life. When you earn regularly, it's easy to normalize expenses.
All right,
Rent
let's review the latest
becomes
metrics.
just rent.
The
Car
performance
payments
numbers are off the
become
charts.
just part of life.
This architecture is a total game
Subscriptions
changer.
become invisible.
Success is within
But
reach
those
now.
costs aren't neutral. They're commitments. Let's say your monthly expenses are $1,500. At first glance, that's just a number. But in reality, it represents the amount of income you must generate every single month just to stay in place. No growth, no progress, just survival.
No, this
But
upgrade
here's
isn't
what
worth
most
it.
people miss. Every
I'll close
fixed
this and
expense
set it
is a
aside.
piece of your
There,
freedom
all
you've
done.
already sold. The higher your obligations, the fewer options you have. You can't easily quit. You can't easily pivot. You can't easily take risks because your lifestyle requires a certain level of income to exist, and the paycheck keeps feeding that structure. Rule 6. Saving without a system still keeps you trapped. Some people do save. They set aside money regularly. They feel responsible. But saving alone isn't enough. If your savings just sit there, they don't change your relationship with money. They delay pressure, but they don't remove it. For example, you save $5,000. That gives you a few months of breathing room. But after that, what happens? You go back to earning, back to the same cycle. I'm not done yet. If your money isn't working for you, you're still working for money. The difference between saving and building is what that money does after you earn it. Does it sit or does it generate? Because one maintains your current life, the other creates a different one. Rule 7. Most people optimize for income, not ownership. When people think about improving their finances, they usually focus on earning more, better job, higher salary, more hours. But income is only one side of the equation. Ownership is the other. Owning assets means having things that produce value without your constant effort. A small online business that generates monthly sales, investments that
scrolling
grow
through the
over
list.
time, even intellectual property.
And stop.
But
All good.
here's the
Total
psychological
looks
trap.
right. Perfect.
Income feels immediate. Ownership feels slow. So people prioritize what gives quick feedback. A raise feels real. An investment feels uncertain. But over time, the gap widens. One person keeps upgrading their paycheck. The other builds systems that don't rely on it. And eventually, income becomes optional for one of them. Rule 8. Social comparison keeps you locked in the cycle. You don't evaluate your life in isolation. You compare your car to your neighbor's car, your phone to your coworker's phone, your lifestyle to what you
Great.
see
The
online.
metrics look solid.
And that
Impressive work.
comparison
Ready for
drives
leadership?
spending decisions
Absolutely. I'm
more
ready to
than
lead the
logic.
team. Good.
Someone
Let's discuss
gets
the
a
transition.
promotion,
Perfect.
and suddenly
I'm available to
your
start
current
planning.
situation feels inadequate. Not because it is, but because it looks that way in comparison. It gets worse. Most of what you're comparing against is financed, debt-funded lifestyles, short-term upgrades, people optimizing for appearance, not sustainability. But your brain doesn't process that. It just sees the result. So you spend to keep up, and in doing so, you increase the very dependency you're trying to escape. Rule 9. The system rewards consistency, not awareness. If you show up, do your job, and follow the path, you'll be rewarded. Raises, promotions, recognition. And that's not inherently bad, but it creates a powerful incentive to stay inside the system. Not question it, not challenge it, just continue. Because stepping outside means uncertainty, and uncertainty feels risky. But here's the quiet truth. Staying inside without awareness is its own risk. You can spend years climbing a ladder that only leads to a more expensive version of the same life. More responsibility, higher income, but also higher dependence. And by the time you realize it, changing direction feels impossible. So let's go back to the two men. Same job, same salary, same starting point. The difference wasn't luck, it wasn't intelligence, it was how they treated their paycheck. One used it as fuel, the other treated it as the destination. One kept resetting to zero, upgrading his lifestyle and relying on the next deposit to sustain everything. The other built slowly, allocated money differently, reduced dependency instead of increasing comfort, created systems that didn't require him to show up every day to earn. 10 years later, the gap looked dramatic, but it didn't happen suddenly. It happened quietly, in small decisions, repeated over time. Your paycheck isn't the problem, but if you treat it as the solution, it becomes the trap. And most people don't realize it until they've built a life that depends on it.